This is a tutorial on how to create the iPod from scratch, the little connector, the cord, earbuds, and the splitter for your iPod ad. I'm going to go ahead and open up my iPod ad that I've already created using the cat JPEG that's on my website. So let me go and open up iPod ad. Okay, so over in my layers over here, we're going to make 4 new layers above the color fill layer right here. We're going to click new layer, new layer, new layer, new layer. Let's name the bottom one body. Let's name the next one screen. The next one's going to be called dial. And the last one will be called button. We're going to start with the iPod body part, which we're going to use white for a color. So I'm going to switch to this color white. I'm going to go to the tools, the shape tools, and let's go ahead and choose a rounded rectangle. Up at the top of the screen, make sure that it is set to, let's go with pixels. And right up here where it says radius, let's go ahead and choose 5. Okay, we're going to go ahead and draw an iPod about the size that this cat would actually be holding. I'm going to do an old school one, like in the picture. So I start with the body like this. I'm going to then go to the screen layer, and we're going to change the color of the screen. Let's go with like a light gray. So I'm going to click on the white swatch, and I'm going to enter in D7, D7, D7. Hit OK. Let's go to the radius and choose 2 for the radius. Let's make sure you're still on pixels. I'm going to zoom in a couple times. Let's see, I'm zooming to, it might be around 300%. I can't see it on the screen here, but I'm going to go ahead and draw the screen. So I'll click and drag like this. And there's my screen. I'll then go to the dial, and I'm going to have a gray dial, but I'm going to use the ellipse. I'm going to hold the shift key when I do this part and drag it, let's say about that big. If it's off center, all you do is click on the move tool. You could just use the arrow keys, or you can move it around like this. Or I can use the arrow keys, which I'm doing now, and I'm going to kind of center this thing. That looks pretty good. Now I'm going to go to the button layer. I'm going to choose white for the color, so I'm going to click. You can click on the swatch and choose white by going in the very corner, or type in FFFFFF, 6 Fs. Click OK. We're going to go to the ellipse. I'm going to hold the shift key down, and I'm going to make a perfect circle for the middle, maybe about that big. Use the move tool, and again, I can click on it or just use the arrow keys. All right, so that's just about complete. We're going to go ahead and merge these 4 layers together. So hold the shift key down, click on body. All of them should light up. You right click and you say merge layers. Then we're going to add a bevel to it to make it look thicker. So I want you to double click on this layer. We're going to click on bevel and emboss. And let's choose, let's see, depth. We'll choose 100, or we'll just do 1 for the depth. Let's do size to, let's go 5 on the size. And let's see, the angle right here, I'm going to choose 130. And let's see, soften 0. Actually, let me try a little bit more on the depth. Actually, I think I like more like 32. You can choose whatever number you think would look good. I mean, the higher you go on this number, the darker it looks. Like there's 50. And 50 actually looks pretty nice. Let's just leave it at 50. And let's go and click OK. And I want to rename this layer since we merged them all together and named it button. I'm going to double click and let's name it iPod. Okay, so we're done with the iPod part. Now we have to rotate it so it fits in his hand. Hit Command T, rotate it. Let's go about 30 degrees or so in the angle. I'm going to hit the check mark. Make sure I move it to where it should be placed. I'm going to be drawing paws and claws on this thing. So let's make a new layer above this one. And I'm going to name this paws and claws. And I want to erase over this black part. So to erase over that, we're going to be using the paintbrush set to black. So I'm going to switch the colors to black right here. I'm using a paintbrush. I'm going to use a paintbrush to set to about a size 15. Let's set the hardness to 100%. I'm going to go to the mask layer, which is right here. And I'm just going to paint over this spot using a black paintbrush. So I'm going to switch it to black. I'm just going to paint over this. And that just basically hides it on the mask. Now switch back to paws and claws. And since I'm on the paintbrush set to black, I'm going to go ahead and put in 3 paws here. So I'm going to click, click, click. I'm going to make a thumb, so I'm going to click. And then I'm going to make it just a step smaller. So I'm going to go to about a size 40 brush and just kind of fix this part. And if I want them to have a kind of a bent thumb, I could just kind of click and add a tip to it like this. If you don't like here, I'm going to undo this and do this again. I'm just going to go a little bit over this way. All right, let's say that's good enough for the thumb. I want to go to a really small brush and make some claws on here. I'm going to bring the brush down to about a size 1. And I'm just using the brackets next to the letter P. The left bracket makes it smaller, the right bracket makes it bigger, or you can go up here and change it up here. So I'll go to a 1. I'm going to go and draw claws on here. So just make like little shark fins, kind of. That's not very good. Let's do another one. And you can take your time. I'm just going to do this really quick here. Okay, claws look pretty good. Now we want a cord to go from the top of this iPod up to the ears. Let's make a cord layer. Name it cord. And then we're going to go ahead and take the pen tool. I'm going to start right at the top right here. I want to click and drag up like this. I'm going to go back about here, click and drag down. That way you have that little curve coming out. We can make this come straight out later. We'll switch to a white arrow and we'll pull this. If you go to the white arrow, I guess I could do this right now. I'm going to go ahead and pull this way. So that way it kind of goes straight up. I'm going to switch back to the pen. I'm going to continue from this point. I'm going to go down about right here. I'm going to click and drag out like this. Click and drag on it over here. Another one about here in the middle. Another one right here. And I'm clicking and dragging. One more at the end. I'm just going to go right to the ear. And I'll just click. I don't even have to click and drag. I want to fix this cord because it doesn't look very smooth. I'm going to switch to the white arrow. I'm going to click on this point. I'm going to adjust it and pull this down like this. I think this is okay. I think I'm going to pull this more on the inside and bend the handle like this. Maybe even pull this one in a little bit. Maybe pull in this one this way. I like to click on the screen and release to see how the cord looks. Like that's not too bad. Maybe fix this one right here. That has a nice curve to it. Maybe this one. There, that has a nice natural curve to this whole thing. You have to click and release this pen because we have to make another one going from here. Make sure that it is not selected with anchor, so click outside with the white arrow. Go back to the pen, go where you want to connect. I'm going to start from here. I'm just going to click and drag on that line. And then we're just going to go right up to the ear up here and just click and drag like this. So I made it real simple. I have the cord splitting right here in the middle. We're going to go and stroke this path, switch it to white, go to the paintbrush, choose a number 2 up here on the brush, just type it in, leave it on 100% hardness, click back on this number 2. We're going to then go back to the white arrow. We're going to select both chords, the first piece we drew and the other piece on the other ear. Select the whole thing, then you right click on the chord, you're going to stroke path. You're going to say OK, make sure it's on brush. So make sure and select brush. Do not check this box off. Hit OK. We're going to stroke it again and make it brighter. So stroke path. Hit OK. Then you need to right click, delete the path. So the chord's done. Now we need to make a new layer. We're going to call this splitter. Oh, need an L in there. Okay, so you get the splitter. We're going to go to a rounded rectangle, and we're going to set the radius to probably 2, and we're going to change, okay, leave it on pixels, make sure it's white, draw a small little piece, let's say like that big. Use the move tool, move it onto this little spot right here. And you can use the arrow keys to get just right if you need to. I got the splitter done. Now I'm going to do the earbuds, make a new layer. Let's call this one stem. Make another layer called bud. Go on the stem layer. We are going to create the stem part of the earbud. So go around a rectangle, make a long little piece like this, and then go to the bud layer, change the shape to a ellipse tool. Again, make sure you're using pixel. I'm going to draw an ellipse like that. Use the move tool, move this on top, and kind of connect it. You may have to use the arrow keys to jump it around and get exactly where you want. Like this looks pretty good. And then we're going to merge the bud and the stem together. So hold the shift key, click stem and bud, right click, click merge layers. Let's name this left earbud. Then you're going to take the move tool, move this in place like that. If you need to rotate, you do Command T, and then you can actually rotate it if you need to. Mine looks pretty good, so I'm going to leave it and just hit the check mark. I want to make a copy of this, so I'm going to hit Command J. Command J makes a copy. I'm going to rename this thing right earbud. Take off the word copy. Right earbud. Okay, I'm going to take the move tool, move the copy I made. I'm going to flip it. So if you do Command T, and then you can right click on it and say flip, let's do flip horizontal, and then hit the check mark. I'm going to grab this earbud, put it over here. I think the earbud looks really good. Let's make a connector. So make a connector layer, go back to the rounded rectangle, make sure it's on 2. We're going to make a small little like pill shape like that. Use the move tool, move this up here. I'm going to rotate it, so I'm going to do Command T, rotate it. Maybe use the arrow key to bump it over a little bit, hit the check mark. I'm still using the arrow key and I bumped it over a little bit more. And that looks like the connector part. The last thing you have to do is add the word iPod or iPer, whatever you like, on the bottom down here on the corner. So let's click on the typing tool. Let's make sure that we choose Myriad Pro, M-Y-R-I-A-D. Grab Myriad Pro Regular. Font size will be, I think, 48. The color white, so make sure that we're on white. And then just click down here, lowercase I, capital P, A, W. So normally in the iPod ads they put iPod, but I like the iPod. We'll have a little play with words here. I'm going to zoom out so you can see this thing. And if you want to add a little white Apple logo in front of this, you can always go to the internet and copy and paste one in, resize it, and that's it.